Good afternoon and welcome to the news. I am Doreen Kalokoh. Coming up in this edition of News are President and Kalokoh to depart Freetown later today to attend this year's Africa Union Summit in Kigali, Rwanda. Sierra Leone joins the rest of the world to observe World Youth Skills Day. The Director of Disease Prevention and Control says reporting all deaths to 117 during the Ebola response help health officials track down cases and brought an end to the epidemic. And Chief Whip's calls on government to stop sending budget allocations to district agriculture offices. All the stories, including business and sports, lined up in this edition of News Hour. President and Kalokoh will later today attend the 27th ordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the African Union. The President will participate in high-level deliberations on the theme 2016 Year of Human Rights, with a particular focus on the rights of women. Sierra Leone's ambassador to the United States, Bokari Stevens, has received the Global Health Impact Award, which he received from Project Hope on behalf of President Kalokoh in Washington, D.C. The award was presented for Sierra Leone's fight against Ebola. Razia Bash Kamara sent in this report.
The award, Ambassador Bokari Stevens said on June the 14th this year, he received on President Kalokoh's behalf and that of the government and people of Sierra Leone the award presented by Project Hope, a well-established organization which projects an office in Sierra Leone. The ambassador maintained that in June this year, Project Hope held a conference in Washington and 2 international awards were made, one to the Chief Executive Officer of the Children's Medical Center in Hong Kong, one of the best centers in the world, and the other to President Kalokoh, the government and people of Sierra Leone. Explaining the idea behind the award, Ambassador Stevens said it was as a result of the impact the president created in changing the dynamics of Ebola, not only for Sierra Leone, but for the other countries in Africa. Receiving the award, President Kalokoh thanked Ambassador Bokari Stevens for receiving the award on behalf of him, the government and people of Sierra Leone. The president also thanked Project Hope for recognizing them as a nation, saying they were not only in the country to support. He said that during the process of providing support, Project Hope observed the way and manner in which the government and the nation executed the fight against Ebola. He pointed out that it was as a result of those efforts that they have been considered as a government and nation for the prestigious award. President Kalokoh again thanked Project Hope for the support they've provided the government and the country in the fight against Ebola, for recognizing their efforts and for also positioning them as a recipient of the only 2 awards they had for this year.
To the people of Sierra Leone, to the government for the leadership that was provided, and to the people of Sierra Leone for the resilience that they showed. The collaborative efforts in fighting Ebola. Without their efforts, we would not have succeeded. So I think it is a victory for all of us, and in return a recognition for all of us. So once more, let me thank you and extend our appreciation.
The Director of Disease Prevention and Control, Dr. Fode Dafe, has said that reporting all deaths to 117 during the Ebola response helped health officials track down cases and brought an end to the epidemic. He made this disclosure during a news conference on the end of the mandatory swabbing at the Public Health National Emergency Operations Center at Cockhill, Wilkins Road. Joseph Stanley was there and he now reports.
Addressing newsmen, Dr. Dafe said that since the elimination of Ebola in November last year to June 30th this year, they implemented the swabbing of all corpses as directed by President Kalokoh. He encouraged all Sierra Leoneans, even though that mandatory swabbing have ended, people must continue to report all deaths to 117 or the nearest health facility to prevent future outbreak. Dr. Daffy added that the reason for reporting all deaths is because disease surveillance and monitoring for infectious disease are key to preventing any outbreak from turning into an epidemic like Ebola. The director said it is also to ensure that they identify any potential outbreak and be able to respond early enough to prevent loss of many lives.
While there will be significant scaling down or swabbing, we keep some standby capacity. Disease surveillance officers will be with a team of existing district Ministry of Health staff will determine if a person who died will need to be swabbed. Only deaths which meet the criteria set out by the Ministry of Health and Sanitation as determined by the officers in the district will be investigated and the swab will be conducted. Deaths meeting the Ebola case definition will activate a rapid response team to conduct the swabbing. Deaths meeting the Ebola case definition will be strongly recommended to receive safe and dignified burial in order to protect everyone's health.
Dr. Fodi Daffy maintained that the 117 will provide information about whether or not the Ministry of Health and Sanitation official will be sent to your home after consulting them. He informed newsmen that some unexplained deaths will be swabbed even though they do not meet the case definition for Ebola, and in these cases safe and dignified burials will not be advised. Dr. Daffy thanked all Sierra Leoneans for cooperating with health officials and reporting deaths to 117 during and after the Ebola outbreak and response. The project manager of 117, Miriam Diop, explained about the importance of reporting deaths to 117 and encouraged Sierra Leoneans to make good use of the facilities at the Center for Prompt Response. SLBC News, Joseph Stanley reporting.
A national debate on the importance of rebranding Technical Vocational Institute aiming at helping young people become skills-oriented has been held at the British Council Hall. The national debate organized by the Technical Vocational Education and Training Institutions was held to mark World Youth Skills Day, which had as a theme skills development to improve youth employment in Sierra Leone. Here's the reports. As the world is striving to help young people be skilled, the World Youth Skills Day was declared to address challenges of unemployment and underemployment. In Sierra Leone, youth unemployment and underemployment is one of the main socio-economic challenges the country is facing, of which many people are of the opinion that a rebrand technical vocational institutions will help young people develop new skills in becoming self-reliant. Having a rebrand technical vocational education and training institutions will prepare young people to become job creators rather than job seekers. The Director of British Council, Simeon Ingram Hill, spoke of the need of celebrating young people, citing the role played by young people to end the Ebola virus. He said that his institutions is striving for a world where young people will have the opportunity to improve their skills and have access to job facilities. He said that they are focusing on 6 key priorities to help transform young people, which are education, prosperity, skills building, violence campaign, and building security for young people. Panelists from various educational backgrounds spoke of the need for effective skills that will ensure a labor force to fill the gender gaps and also change the perception of people about technical vocational education. They said that enrolling into TechVoc is not a second option, but to prepare young people for their job markets. The Minister of Works, Housing and Infrastructure, Alhaji Kemosisi, has said that it is important to empower local engineers by awarding contract to them, which will reduce too many costs involved in hiring foreign construction companies. He made the statement at the handing over ceremony of motorbikes and vehicles to district and regional engineers to monitor road works in the regions. The ceremony took place at the SLRA headquarters in Freetown. Omubaka was there and she now reports.
The issue of effective monitoring of government-funded road projects in the country has been a serious challenge and hindrance to infrastructural development. That is why, according to the Minister of Works, Housing and Infrastructure, Alhaji Kemosi say, the engineers will ensure effective monitoring with the handling of these vehicles and motorbikes.
We are not come here to award bikes and lorries to SLRA. It's not the case. We have come here to give vehicles and bikes to SLRA to enhance their functions. It's the tools for them to do their job. That's a privilege. And without further ado, I must make sure that I make this mention, Mr. DG. Must create a roster for our vehicles and our bikes. You must know the mileage of the vehicle when you receive it today, the mileage you consume from here to Kalokoh if you are going to Kalokoh, and when you leave it, where you going to destination, the mileage you meet there, and when you return back the mileage. So we know we can monitor the usage of our vehicles and our bikes. It must be adhered to.
The Minister of Works said that it is important to empower local engineers and give them contracts so that the country stops paying huge amounts of money to foreign engineers.
We can domesticate our consultancy engineering. We can. I think we are better engineers in Sierra Leone than people abroad. That's why we have the problem of economy right now. Most of our foreign exchange goes abroad again because our consultants are all from abroad. Our contractors are from abroad. I have to emphasize here that I am very, very much going to frown against international consultants or contractors for jobs that we can do in this country. We must empower our own locals. I think if properly monitored, they can do the job. That's why I have the vehicles and bikes now.
Chairman, Road Maintenance Fund Administration, YTCC, said since President Nkrumah took over power in 2007, there has been massive development in infrastructure, and the SLRA has been the most important agency for all government-funded projects on roads. These 15 motorcycles and vehicles are expected to be used to monitor roadworks and other projects under the SLRA. Director General SLRA, Abdul Aziz Kamara, referred to this as a dream come true, noting that for a long time now, this has been a serious challenge in monitoring.
Representatives from various ministries, departments and agencies have formulated messages for the forthcoming mass civil registration campaign at a capacity building program held in Freetown. The capacity building program, which took place at the Jamboree House in Freetown, was organized by Plan Sierra Leone with support from UNICEF and United Nations Development Program, UNDP. Hawa Mosi was there and she now reports.
The two-day capacity building ended up with different presentation, looking at key issues such as birth registration, marriage and civil registration, and the National Electoral Commission. Participants during the presentation explains how authorities involved in the exercise will be able to reach out to the public. These formulated messages will be used to educate the public on the forthcoming civil registration process that will start in October and end in December 2016. The acting chief of training of the National Electoral Commission, NEC, Victor Musa, commended participants for the inputs made so far during the two-day training. This, he says, his institution is grateful to work together with the National Registration Secretariat in introducing the multiple registration, which is first of its kind in Sierra Leone, with the aim to have a single registration of citizens and non-citizens. Mr. Musa said NEC will be providing centers and equipment for registration and training on how to conduct the exercise.
I want to say here that NEC is grateful to work with NCRA, and we have provided certain facilities for them as they are just coming up in national. They are not having offices all over the country. NEC has approved the use of NEC offices all over the country.
Public Relations Manager, Civil Registration Authority, Donald King, stated that it is good for citizens to take control of the process and appeal to the participant for their continued support to ensure a successful registration process. The Universal Birth Registration Coordinator of Plan Sierra Leone, Cecilia Hanses, thanked the participants for their inputs and recommendations. Cecilia Hanses also commended donor partners, including UNICEF and UNDP, for their support towards the program.
The purpose of this workshop is to have a consistent message for the newly established Civil Registration Authority. And we are all aware that registration has been in existence over the years. And so now we are coordinating all of our efforts to the civil registration, which is the continuous registration of vital events.
The civil registration will serve as an improved planning tool for state budget donor interface, assessment of development programs, improve broader control, crime intelligence, and encourage economic development through foreign business investment and resource partnership. SABC TV News Eye in Freetown, Hawamosue reports.
Chief Whip Honorable Claude Commander has called on the central government to stop sending budget allocations to district agricultural offices, but rather to the farmer-based organizations. He made this call during an oversight visit to local councils in some part of the country. Ma'awa Ali reports.
Make the some constitution for push icon region and procure districts. So that at the end of the day, we see the supply market of food, meat, everything. But it's like when you talk about it, listen. You need to go this go. And I need to go visit to council for other negotiate this sector there. Then let the food share because I won't think I can for it. When you share that's the end of it. It can't happen. When you stop the format that we have to district, it's unacceptable. Definitely, for a whole deal, not able to articulate the issues we have in the sector. You the minister of agriculture here. How many chief laws? So if you say that each and every chief law doing and operate on the agriculture state on the ends, because you don't even know the happen animal, we animal holiday or food day.
During the oversight visit to all local councils across the country, it was amazing that district agricultural officers were unable to account for monies received from the central government, thus creating suspicion among members of the Transparency Committee. The chairman, Honorable Claude Commander, observed that the district agricultural officers are not complementing government efforts in providing food security as expected. He said 80% of the allocations so the district agricultural officer is used on administrative arrangements, leaving the farming unattended.
Every sector, all the only unfortunate not able to account of what they do. No, what even they happen inside agriculture, a whole entity way in the air. It's unfortunate. Government made you then if you give 15% to engineer whichever I give you 23%, 50%. Something the way you here. What you don't do, you get a lot of money. Even you under administration, you get monitoring, a lot of trade on monitoring. If you look, they spend a lot of money on forestry like that. All on patrolling, monitoring, supervision, clinical monitoring, all these are there. What will do? They will not do 70 billion. It isn't a 77 million. No. You know, you account for they make it with a bench.
Chairman Commander said food security is a major challenge in the country, noting that government is doing all it could to salvage the situation, but yet the district agricultural officers are hindering the progress. Honorable Claude Commander furthered that government is spending hugely on agriculture in Sierra Leone, but the monies are used on other purposes by the district agricultural officers. According to committee members, it was a total disappointment in Pujehun district, where the district agricultural officer was struggling to explain how he has been using the government allocations.
The purchase of vaccines and also where the free mandate will go at the field of rural vaccination, will also extend TSA. The drugs. What do you buy?
90 part of this 10 million, vaccination of livestock. Which do you mean by this 10 million? Is it the cost of the job or the people that will do the job? Now they use money, then if now they will ask who that is this job.
No, it's a combination of both the vaccine and
The committee members have, however, resolved to take stringent action through recommendations to the House for ratification. SLBC News, Mahawa Aliyu.
The Ministry of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs has concluded a two-day consultative feasibility validation workshop on business incubator for African women entrepreneur program for Sierra Leone and Burkina Faso, held at Kalokoh International Hotel at Wilkinson Road. The session is to get feedbacks from female farmers around the country, which will be factored into the amended version of the program's legal framework documents. Daphne Kema Macaulay filed in this report.
The Business Incubator for African Women Entrepreneur (BIAWI) document is part of the ECOWAS mission to contribute to the eradication of poverty among women in Africa. 100 million euros funding was provided by the Spanish government through the new Partnership African Development. The project is implemented by the Ministry of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs for women farmers in rural communities. The objective of the two-day workshop is to get feedbacks from participants to add their views to the BIAWI document, to propose appropriate finance for rural women, and to determine the key challenges of women in agriculture. According to the Minister of Social Welfare, Gender and Children's Affairs, Dr. Sylvia Blyden, the BIAWI project is to improve capacity building through technical assistance and financial support to emerging rural women entrepreneurs faced with constraints in the agriculture sector.
When I looked through the different programs on my desk, I realized that one particular one needed my special attention, and that was this pilot project, the BIAWI. Going through the BIAWI project, the concept for the BIAWI project, I realized that this was something that has enormous potential, especially for our rural women, if we could successfully manage the pilot phase and secure funding for a full-blown implementation of the project.
Francois Oyudrago is the project manager of BIAWI. He said the project will create wealth among rural women by the professionalization of the business in accordance with Sustainable Development Goals of no poverty, zero hunger.
In retrospect, the Business Incubator for African Rural Women Entrepreneurs is an initiative of the ECOWAS Commission in partnership with the NEPAD and the Spanish Farm. It aims to establish business incubator for rural women in the ECOWAS region as one of the strategies to contribute to the eradication of poverty through the economic empowerment of women.
Chairperson of the Sierra Leone Women's Farmers Forum Kalokoh District Chapter, Aja Memunatu Conte, said women account for 50% of the agricultural workforce but have not been given the much needed support to improve on their farming. She said they have been engaged in subsistence farming, making them breadwinners for their families, but commercial farming is more sustainable and income-generating venture. She adds that in Sierra Leone, lots of money is being spent on the importation of rice, which can be used to promote local rice production. The ECOWAS Commission is conducting validation sessions in each country with partners to the document that reflect the realities female farmers face in agriculture.
The only SLPP councillor in the Kalokoh District Council, Sheku Tijan Sako, has resigned from his party. Mr. Sako was councillor for Ward 189 in Constituency 55, Kafubulom Chiefdom, after winning a seat in 2012 local council election, making him the only councillor for the opposition Sierra Leone People's Party in Kalokoh District Council. According to his resignation letter, he tendered to the Secretary General of the SLPP, the former councillor decided to leave the SLPP because of the division and no serious effort to settle the intra-party wrangling. Mr. Sako said on many instances he has been accused of not belonging to the camp of retired Brigadier Julius Madabio and has not been enjoying the cooperation of some members of the party. Among other reasons for his decision is that he admires the current developments by President Ernest Nkrumah and wants to be part of the achievement of the current government. Mr. Sako said he is living with no regrets or bitterness towards anyone, adding that he values the many good friends he made in the SLPP over the years. Reports reaching SLBC say illegal mining is presently going on at the back of Connaught Hospital. SLBC Umubakar was there to find out the type of mining, and she filed in this report.
The rate at which illegal mining is increasing in the western area has been a serious concern to many people, especially when the issue of climate change is a concern. According to studies in 2014 by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, comprising over 800 scientists, Sierra Leone was listed as the third most vulnerable country to climate change. In 2015, the country dropped to second, indicating non-improvements. And as a result of this, the Sierra Leone police has intensified their efforts to reduce illegal sand mining, so as to stop erosion and other flood. Report reaching the SLBC says illegal mining is presently going on at the back of Connaught Hospital.
Well, I am actually standing at the back of Connaught Hospital, where it has been alleged that people are doing some amount of mining, and from my back you can see that there's actually some mining going on, but we have some people who we talk to who tell us what exactly or what type of mining is exactly going on at this particular point. Now, can do you have to
yes.
What do you
take gravel and stone out deep, very was at the car and bob and flow, and they say they can't give guts now, they will make it go slow. So I make it can't be out the country. We'll make it go slow.
But now let's say
let's say for make it go slow.
For make it go slow. So now, how often can you this do? Yeah, like so whenever happens, all now every day?
No.
Like who sent you special?
Like the time I'm always was at car.
So like where you can so the next day? Can't so when are the last day owner?
I think not dig it here.
Who could not dig here?
Not dig it. I don't know. What I can do, but not dig it.
Okay, but other people, what on other people lesson are there?
Other people are just saying that we can't dig it.
So apart from here, who sort of say? So they can go along. Well, viewers, this is also another site where they've done some amount of mining. We'll take a look at different places where they've been doing this mining activity to see the amount of damage or what exactly these people have done to the back of the hospital.
This is also another area at the back of the hospital where this mining is taking place. If this activity, which is a cause for concern, is not addressed, it can be a recipe for disaster.
Well, up next, we now move to our business desk as Judith Sana is all set to bring us business updates.
Hello and welcome to the business updates. We begin with the foreign exchange rates. The US dollar buys at 6,026 leons and sells at 6,148 leons. Pound sterling buys at 8,054 leons and sells at 8,220 leons. Euro buys at 6,709 leons and sells at 6,844 leons. That's the foreign exchange rate courtesy of the central bank. For the past days, there have been rumors making the rounds in the social media that Skybank Sierra Leone has issues with liquidation. This is coming at a time when the Skybank PLC Nigeria has sacked its directors and board members due to poor performance in the banking system. In line with this, customers of Skybank Sierra Leone became jittery and went to the bank to withdraw their deposits. However, the management of Skybank Sierra Leone today called on the press, updating the media that what has happened in Nigeria has no direct effect on the operations in Sierra Leone. Abubakar Bangura reports.
Skybank Sierra Leone began business in September 2008, given its rich mineral resources and post-war reconstruction efforts. The bank supports its customers to explore business opportunities in the private sector, investment banking, development finance, commercial banking, and retail banking in the emerging Sierra Leone economy. Notwithstanding this, rumors have been making the rounds in the social media and the general public that the bank has been liquidated due to some financial problems with the parent Skybank PSL Nigeria. Customers turn out in their large numbers to ask for their deposits and close their accounts, fear of losing their monies. At a press conference held at the bank's conference hall in Freetown, Managing Director Falahun Femi Peter said such a rumor is fictitious and malicious, giving bad impressions of the bank. He said the bank is a corporate entity registered in Sierra Leone and stands on its own, saying the bank is solid by every prudential parameters, guidelines or standards. He said the Bank of Sierra Leone is in control of the issue as depositors' funds are safe and secured. Skybank is a subsidiary entity of the Skybank Nigeria with a different account. He called on customers to have strong belief in Skybank Sierra Leone as what happened in Nigeria has no impact on their operations in Sierra Leone. Upon hearing the rumor, the Central Bank of Sierra Leone issued a statement assuring the public that it's aware of the decision of the Central Bank of Nigeria to replace the board and senior management of Skybank Nigeria. The Central Bank of Sierra Leone is monitoring the situation effectively to maintain financial stability. The Central Bank of Sierra Leone is continuously monitoring the operations of all financial institutions under its.
The representative of the auditing firm of the Sierra Brewery, KPMG Vida Decker, has disclosed that the Sierra Brewery net profit declined to a loss of 50.2 billion yuans compared to a loss of 33.9 million yuans in 2014. Mr. Vida Decker made a statement at the Sierra Brewery's 2015 annual general meeting. The meeting was held at the Sierra Brewery staff canteen at Wellington. Maria Madenki Kanu was there and now reports.
The 2016 annual general meeting attracted board of directors and staff members of the Sierra Leone Brewery and the press. In his annual report for 2015, Vidal Decker said the company's directors are responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with the Companies Act of 2009 and that the financial statements are free from material misstatements. The KPMG was also reappointed as the auditing firm. In his address, Chairman of the Board of Directors, Doreen said Sierra Leone Brewery has been facing adverse market conditions during the year under review as the Sierra Leone Brewery experienced significant difficulties such as the negative impact of the state of public health emergency, closing of bars, entertainment centers and outlets, and the devaluation of the leones. Mr. Asma said the net financing cost of the Sierra Leone Brewery increased to 26 billion leones compared to 22 billion leones in 2014, driven by exchange rate movements.
As a result, the economy contracted by 21.1% in 2015. The government budget was under severe pressure. Between end 2014 and end 2015, the lei depreciated by 50% against the US dollar.
Operation cost was negatively impacted by adverse trading conditions, which resulted in a sharp decline of commodity prices compared to 2014. Net revenue, is said, showed a slight increase of 1.1% from 55.9 billion leones in 2014 to 56.6 billion leones in 2015. Sales, is said, ended with a 30% decline in volumes compared to same period in 2014, driven by supply chain challenges and the economic slowdown and the management team on ground. The annual general meeting saw the re-election of Ivan Carroll and Louis Tani Pratt.
That report was read by Awanatu Conte. Well, that's it from the business desk. Many thanks for your time. I'm Judith Sana.
Thanks to Judith. Well, from the business desk, we'll now go over to our sport desk as Francis Bernard is set to bring us sport updates.
Hello, it's sports updates on News Hour. For Sports Now, the Ministry of Sports and the National Olympic Committee met yesterday at Bishop House to finalize arrangements for the participation of Sierra Leone in the upcoming Olympic and Paralympic Games, due in Brazil August and September respectively. The President of the National Olympic Committee, Dr. Patrick Coker, briefed the ministry that accreditation process is almost completed, with 4 athletes, 2 from swimming and 2 from athletics, who have recorded the Olympic qualification standard, and that 2 athletes have also qualified for the Paralympic Games, with 1 from table tennis and 1 from athletics. The Minister of Sports, Ahmed Kanu, however, assured the National Olympic Committee of the ministry's commitment in providing financial support before their departure. Dr. Coker also presented an accreditation to the Minister of Sport, which he will use and also serve as his visa to the Games in Brazil. Rio de Janeiro has overcome setback and is ready to welcome the world to the 2016 Olympics, says the International Olympic Committee. Nawal El Mutakawal, who heads the IOC group monitoring the preparations, has made her final visit to Brazil after traveling there regularly since 2009. There have been fears over Rio's readiness because of building delays, the Zika virus, and political crises. But El Mutakawal said the Olympic venues are ready for action. The Games run from the 5th of August to the 21st. Economic problems have seen initial plans scaled back, and concerns over unfinished building work were still being expressed last month. Meanwhile, a coastal cycleway built for the event collapsed in April. There was concern over the water quality at the Guanabara Bay sailing venue after tests revealed high levels of bacteria and viruses, and 2 sailors claimed to have contracted the infections from the water. Well, from that we bring you some transfer news in the English Premier League, as clubs are now busy in the markets to make sure they empower their teams ahead of the beginning of the new English Premier League season. Well, for the Premier League, from Liverpool to Bournemouth, we saw where Jordan Ibe has left Liverpool for a fee of £15 million to Bournemouth, and for Thomas Bradshaw Walter Burnley also has left for Bransley for an undisclosed fee. Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of Sports Updates. I am Francis Bama.
From the sport decks, we bring the news to a close. Before we go look at the main points again, President Elizabeth Kalokoh is to depart Freetown later today to attend this year's African Union Summit in Kigali, Rwanda. Sierra Leone is joining the rest of the world to observe World Youth Skills Day. The Director of Disease Prevention and Control, Dr. Fode Dafe, has said reporting all deaths to 117 during the Ebola response help health officials track down cases and brought an end to the epidemic. And the Chief Whip, Claude Commander, has called on government to stop sending budget allocations to district agriculture officers. Without all in this edition of News Hour, broadcast live on the Sailing Broadcasting Corporation in Freetown. On behalf of my news editor, Sheku Sumaila, I am Doreen Kalokoh in Freetown. For more information about our programs, please send us an email to contact us at slbc.sl. Thanks for watching. Coming up next is Issues in the News.